Am I visible and audible to all? Antarikshi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Respected Principal Sir, esteemed colleagues, and my dear students. Myself, Priyadarshini, Head Department of Environmental Sciences, GCW Parade. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this two-day workshop on environmental concerns and mitigation. This workshop is divided into two parts. On day one, that is today on 30th of October, we have a talk dedicated to plastic pollution, mitigation measures, and current ban. On day two, that is on 31st of October, we have a talk on the topic From Your Kitchen Waste to Organic Fertilizers, the Miracles of Little Known Earthworms. It gives me great happiness to introduce today's speaker with all of you. Today we have among us Dr. Mohd Shahnawaz. Dr. Shahnawaz has several years of teaching and postdoctoral experience to his credit. He has worked on bioremediation of polythene at SP Pune University. He is a recipient of various fellowships awarded by SPPU, UGC BSR, UGC MANF, and DSTSERP. His research interest is in ecology, microbiology, bioremediation, and plant biotechnology. Currently, he is focused on the mitigation of microplastic using bioremediation technology. He has served as a reviewer and editor for several international journals and has received the Young Scientist Award 2019 from VD Good Professional Association at Visakhapatnam, India. He has published more than 20 research articles in peer-reviewed journals and authored and edited 8 books of international repute. We all welcome you here, sir. Plastic pollution, as all of you know, is a pollution which is of very recent origin. It is India's and world's most formidable challenge today. The biggest problem with plastic is that it does not degrade and it is not processed or being treated properly. A study points out that 79% of the total plastic produced in the world enters our environment as waste. Only 9% of the total plastic waste in the world is recycled. If not tackled well in time, by 2050, as per an estimate, by 2050, the amount of plastic in seas and oceans will be more than the fishes. Given how ubiquitous plastic has become, from our toothbrushes to our debit cards, this problem needs to be given a very serious thought. To share his expert views on plastic pollution with our audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I am good morning to everyone, Principal Sir, Shalom Madam, and Head of Department of Environmental Science, and Shalom Madam, Head of Department of Botany Department. I am thankful to all for giving me an opportunity to deliver a talk on this plastic pollution. So let us begin with this. I have made PPT over it. As HOD Madam of EVS Sciences already introduced about plastic pollution, so without wasting too much time, we should start this today's lecture on plastic pollution, mitigation measures, and current ban. So before going through about the plastic pollution, I think we should discuss about the origin of plastic, how it was discovered, what is plastic, to increase our interest in plastic pollution. So plastic is actually a Greek terminology. It is derived from a Greek word plastikos, which means to grow or to form or mold it into different shapes. And plastic is made up of high molecular weight petrochemicals having long chains of hydrocarbons. Due to various enormous important properties of plastic, such as waterproof, highly durable, it is low cost of manufacturing, and resistant to breakage and other important properties, this become a miracle material, and it has replaced all our traditional materials which we were using in our day-to-day life. However, the plastic which is currently used at a large at all the parts of the world was not known 1 century before. Uh, so let us discuss about how the plastic was discovered. When we study the literature, we came to know that literate, uh, the discovery of plastic synthesis was done reported 2 times in history, and both times by serendipity by chance. For the first time in Germany, a scientist named Hans Pechmann, he was working on diazomethane, and once he heated a diazomethane, and he reported a wax type substance. Later, his two colleagues, Eugen Bamberger and Friedrich Scherner, they identified that wax substance as long chain of methane, and they call it polymethylene. Later, this discovery was also reported by other two scientists which were working at Imperial Chemical Industries UK, with Eric William Fawcett and Reginald Gibson. They were working on dyes. Their aim was to get a new compound because in those days there was a competition in dyes. People are trying to get new novel compounds, so they were working. However, they were not getting results. They were getting failure continuously. So after 15th failed reaction, they have started reaction with ethylene and benzaldehyde on 24th March 1933. This was a weekend, and they have two these scientists were hurry. One was having plans to visit his friends, and other was planning to go a movie with his uh, girlfriend. So both these scientists were hurry on the Friday. So they left. They started the reaction. They increased temperature 170 degree and pressure 1900 Pascal, and they left the lab. Then following Saturday, they came to lab. They had noticed decrease in pressure. Again, they were in hurry. They have they have not thought about why the pressure was decreased. They just increased the pressure and left the lab. Then following Monday, when they came to lab, they got astonished to see a new thing, white waxy substance, which is nowadays called as polyethylene. Then again in science, there is one thing which is called as reproducibility of the results. When we get something, it should be reproducible. It should be repeated time over time. So they again tried to get the results, but at that time they were not getting results due to continuous failure for several years. A group of team of scientists from this empirical chemical industry, headed by Michael Perrin, they again tried and optimized this reaction in 1935, and they got success. And then this plastic was produced commercial level in 1938. Thereafter, in World War II, this plastic was used to insulate these radar cables, and this plastic helps actually the Britain's Atlantic to defend German submarines. Then after this plastic was used at a global level to produce other goods for our daily use. And we can also say that the revolutions of 19th and 20th century are attributed to the plastic, and the plastics are very important uh, hydrocarbons. And if we talk about polythene, the polythene is generally of two types depending based on the process of its manufacturing. If high pressure is required for its manufacturing, it is called a low density polythene. And the polythene, which was discovered by Fawcett and Gibbs in 1933, is low density polythene because it requires high pressure. And in the same few years later, two scientists working independently in Italy and Germany, they also were trying to find another polymer of this ethylene, and they used various catalysts, and they have optimized selection, and they use aluminum-based catalyst for polymerization reaction at low pressure. And again, by extent, they found a polyethylene end product. But the density of this polythene was between 0.94 to 0.97, and hence it is known as high density polythene. So, as we all know that the plastic which we are using is of various types. There are various types. So the International Committee have designated 7 codes for plastics where if we see any plastic bottle or any plastic material, you can find a code over it. The code designates the type of plastics. Such as here we can see there are 7 codes. One is a code for PET, polyethylene tetraphthalate, high density polythene. Third one is polyvinyl chloride and low density polyethylene, polypropylene, polystyrene, and others. And there are two types of main plastic. One is microplastic, other is microplastic. Microplastics are those plastics whose size is less than 5 millimeter. However, again, this microplastic is of primary and secondary origin, and there are various sources of this microplastic. And the microplastic again needs a complete lecture, so we skip this microplastic here in our today's presentation. We will focus only on the microplastic. So let us have a discuss overview about these type of plastics, such as this polyethylene tetraphthalate is generally used for manufacturing of the water bottles, which are used in our daily life, the cold drink bottles and other butter jars. These type of plastics are meant for single use and are recyclable and are really safe. But if you use once, then the second type of plastic is high density polyethylene, which are used for making detergent bottles, molded plastic cases, milk jugs. This plastic is also recyclable and it is generally safe. And the third one is polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride. This type of plastic is used for manufacturing of electric wire cable, insulating material, and water pipes and the curtain, etc. And this type of the is generally not safe unless they are thread free. And the fourth one is the low density polyethylene, which is the most important among these. Is a carry bag would be used for grocery shopping and other things. These are type of plastics are not generally meant for reuse. They are single use plastics and are also generally safe. And the fifth one is the plastic which is used for the manufacturing of the lids of these water bottles or other bottles and these straw. And these are reusable food containers and these are also generally safe. Now the sixth one is the plastic which is used in these cutlery items such as glass plates. However, these plastic materials, when they are heated, they release a compound known as styrene, which is an endocrine disruptor and human carcinogenic and is highly toxic. So it is better to avoid these things. If you use without heat, then they are safe. But when heated, they are not safe. So the other type of plastic, the seventh other type of plastic is mostly polycarbonates, and these are used for the preparation of this milk water bottles for kids, for children, and other materials. But this type of plastic are generally not for recycling, and they also contain a compound which is called as bisphenol A, which is also a hormone disruptor compound, very toxic. So this was about, so based on the types of plastic we are using them at lower scale. So based on the consumption of usage of plastics are generally categorized into different categories. So most of the plastic is used in the packaging material. About 35% plastic is used in packaging, followed by building and construction 23%, then transport, furniture, electronics 8% each, followed by agriculture 7% and others. So due to high usage of plastic, the demand of plastic is increasing day by day, and as per reports, it is annually gets doubled. And in terms of plastic consumers in the world, Asia is the number one with 35%, and mostly from China, then North America and Western Europe. So global demand of plastic is increasing day by day, and it's increasing many folds. So as per report, the plastic which we are generating today due to use of plastic finally ends with the water channels and it ends with the rivers, and the river finally dispense this plastic waste into the ocean. And as per report published in 2017, it states that 1.15 to 2.4 million tons of plastic waste currently enters to the ocean every year, with over 74% of emission occurring between May and October, and 74% of the emission occurring May, October, and India and Asia is accounted for 67% of the global total emission to the ocean. Another report also suggested that the land plastic also entered in the actually I'm having some issue with internet. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay.
Continue, sir.
Okay. And the most of the plastic waste, which are from the uh, land plastic, it enters the ocean. And a report suggested that from 192 coastal countries in the world, around 4.8 to 12.7 million metric tons of plastic entering the ocean every day, every year. So plastic is highly durable material and is also a miracle material. We can say that, and a large amount of plastic waste is generated every year. And as per estimate, around 330 million metric tons of plastic waste get generated. And among all the plastic waste which is getting generated, 64% is only polythene. So in our studies, we focus only on polythene. Uh, and these plastic waste reported various hazardous effects on marine as well as on terrestrial animals. Every year we have studied here, we have reported, uh, discussed about due to in our slides that the plastic waste and in the marine environment. And in the marine environment, it leads to deaths of around 1 million animals per year due to the intestinal choking and the blockage of intestinal system. And sometimes these animals are getting entangled with plastic, and for many time, for duration, without food and water, these animals, they are getting killed. It's not only in the marine environment, but also in sites, the food which is being thrown in the plastic carry bag. The animals feed on those foods and are being killed by the joke of the stomach. A report published in from in 2005, Singh reported that autopsy reported few kgs of plastic from and was feed by other animals and the cycle continues. Drainage blockage in many systems in many metropolitan cities, Mumbai, etc. Here you can see these are the due to plastic waste, a huge blockage in drainage system. So not only this, the current pandemic of COVID-19, in this scenario, the plastic was proved as a medical material for the kids. हेलो मैम आवाज नहीं आ रही मैडम आई एम ऑडिबल
Yes, sir, you are audible. But your voice is breaking, sir. Please turn off your video.
Okay. Can you turn off my video? I'm not able to do it.
Sir, you have stopped sharing the content.
Oh, oh, oh.
So there in the bottom, you can see the start video button.
Okay, 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 stop.
You have to stop that. And yes, now you can share, sir, like earlier.
Okay, 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 okay.
Am I audible to you, sir? Participants, please wait as there is some internet issue from the speaker's side.
Dear participants, there is some connectivity issue from the side of the speaker. Let us wait for some time and then we'll continue with the program. Antriksh, please unmute Dr. Shahnawaz.
Yes, ma'am, I have sent the request.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. मैडम अभी आ रहा है?
Yes, sir, your presentation is visible.
Okay, okay, okay. Let's start. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry for this technical issue. As I was talking about the plastic was also proven as a miracle material during pandemic for this for preparation of this PPE kits, our hand gloves, our mask, our face shields. So, beside this, people preferred online home delivery shopping. So, these materials were also packed in the plastic packages, and using this a huge amount of plastic also gets generated due to the COVID-19 scenario. And as per reports that around 1.6 million tons of plastic is being produced since the outbreak. And it is also estimated that in COVID-19 patients, which are confirmed positive patients, compared to the average patient, around 15 times more medical waste is being produced with these patients. Because so based on this, millions of discarded single-use plastic masks, gloves, apron, and bottles of sanitizer have been added to the environment on daily basis. So as per estimate that around 3.5 billion single-use face masks, face shields are discarded daily as a result of this pandemic, and these also are reported to affect both marine and terrestrial animals. So here you can see these are the images where these plastics are producing problems. Then these are the plastic kits which are being discarded and are lying over in the environment. And so, due to the lack of this proper management of this waste, the COVID-19 epidemic also leads to enhanced plastic waste. So, how this waste can be managed at a global level? So, when we study the literature reveals that there are some measures we can take off to mitigate this plastic waste. And among all these, these are some of the landfilling, incineration, recycling, construction of roads, production of petrol, degradation of plastic, and pain and plastic production and usage. We will discuss each and every aspect one by one for better understanding. So, for the most important is the landfilling. In terms of percentage, all the municipality waste of plastic waste which is end up in the municipalities, they are being landed into the landfills. And as per estimate, around 65% of the total plastic is being dumped in the landfills. And in the landfills, the plastic remains undegraded for several years due to the lack of oxygen. And it leads to the production of toxic compounds also, and which are also hazardous to environment and its inhabitants. And thus, so this method is also not an environment friendly method. And the second method is the incineration method. And after landfilling, incineration method is the most widely used method. In this method, the plastic is either burned in the open environment or incinerators are used for this purpose. Incinerators are very expensive and cost some crores of rupees. And due to burning of these plastic waste materials, various toxic gases are released to the environment, and which are very dangerous to the inhabitants. So this method is also not safe. So people thought that the other method, which is called recycling, is the most preferable method. However, as per reports at a global level, only 10% of the total plastic waste gets recycled. And there are various factors which hamper efficiency of plastic recycling process. And there are various impurities which are being added with plastic, such as additives and etc. And the various type of plastic need to be segregated from each other manually and requires extensive labor work. So the recycling method is also seems a good strategy. However, this method is not efficient and is expensive process, and not all plastics can be recycled. Now the other method is the construction of roads. We have read many news in Delhi's that there are various people around the globe who are trying to use plastic waste in the road topping. And as per reports that in India we are also reported this type of studies. However, only 10% of the plastic can be mixed with this bitumen to make the roads. However, during this process, again, a huge heat required to melt this plastic with this bitumen, and again, very toxic gases are getting released into the environment. So, this method is also good but not eco-friendly method. The other promising method, which seems very promising in the future, is the production of petrol from this plastic waste. So, a report published in 2011, a scientist named Sarkar, he reported that if we, using pyrolysis technology, we can convert plastic waste into different petrochemical products, and among one, the product was a polypetroleum. It is petrol. But the question is that when we use these plastic based petrol to run our cars, our vehicles, the gases which we emit from this combustion of this fuel are also very toxic to the environment. So this method seems the best alternative in future. However, still it is not eco-friendly method. And the other method is the degradation of plastic by various means, either photodegradation or thermo-oxidation degradation or biodegradation. Among these three methods, biodegradation, which involves microbial agents and doesn't require any kind of heat, is very environmental friendly, cheap, and very much acceptable method. So there are various sources of microbes which can be used for this plastic degradation. One is seawater, plastic dumping site, and reservoir of mangroves. So based on this, we have also contributed in the remediation technology uh, during our doctoral studies at the Department of Botany, South by Pune University. We worked on to discover the elite microbes, bacteria, and fungi to degrade polythene. Why we choose polythene? We already discussed that polythene shares about 64% of the total plastic waste. So let us focus only on 64%. Later we can discuss other problems, the types of plastics. So for this, we had surveyed the west coast of India from Gujarat to Kanyakumari, and we have selected those collection sites which were having all these plastic waste in marine water and mangroves as a spare soil. So we collected from 12 locations from Gujarat to Kanyakumari, and from these locations, uh, this is the mangrove plant. We have also made herbarium of it and submitted at Botanical Survey of India, Pune Circle. And these are the GPS locations of the collection sites along the west coast of India. And so we tried the screening of the polythene degrading microbes based on weight loss and tensile strength. Then we confirmed the degradation process using FTIR analysis as well as scanning electron microscopy method. So in screening, we first parameter was selected as a weight loss parameter, and in the top performer in case of bacteria and top performer in fungi are enlisted here, and we reported that the results after 2 months of incubation at room temperature, we reported 18.23% maximum weight loss with old Goa isolate. And in case of fungi, the results are more prominent. We reported 58% weight loss with bamboo isolate. But again, in science, the result is only valid when it repeats. We performed repetition experiments based on weight loss. However, in case of repetition experiment, the results were not reproducible. So we use another parameter to screen the polythene degrading microbes. So this was the tensile strength, reduction in loss in tensile strength. So here again, we got results with good results with bacteria as well as fungi. In bacteria, we report 87% loss in tensile strength, and in fungi, we reported 94.44% loss in tensile strength. However, we again performed the repetition experiments. However, the results based on tensile strength were reproducible. We got same results in repetition experiments. So this was a very. Then we confirmed the level of degradation by studying the Cornell index using after analysis, and we reported degradation. And we also analyzed these degradation strips using scanning electron microscopy, where we can visible these changes are visible. Here you can see these are the holes or the and in the case of weight loss experiment, we also reported weight gain, and here in same analysis we reported that due to accumulation of cell masses over the surface of the strips, it leads to weight gain. So the most efficient, these are the results based on fungi. So the most efficient bacteria were identified, characterized using 16S RNA gene sequencing, and the results were published in Environmental Science and Research Journal. And the Lysine Bacillus piriformis and Bacillus cereus were reported as the most efficient bacteria to degrade polythene. And the results which were published based on fungi were more prominent and were accepted by the scientific reports. And here, the most efficient polythene degrading fungi are Aspergillus terris and Aspergillus sudovi. And here we also characterize these fungi based on ATS gene sequencing technology. Then we also analyze the polythene degrading products on both plants and animal system using the same technique. And we have also analyzed, we have reported that both these polythene degrading products based using bacteria are least toxic on both plants and animal systems. Similarly, we also tested this fungi based products on plant and animal system and reports least toxicity. And here again, the results were published in scientific reports. We have also published a book on plastic waste technology, using fermentation technology for plastic waste, and our work got huge media coverage. One more book which is about to publish, it is to our forthcoming book. It will hit the market shortly. It's the impact of plastic waste on marine biota. And our media coverage of our work got huge media coverage. This is the BBC News Marathi. And this is the Sakal Times. She is my colleague. She worked on the fungal aspect, and I worked on the bacterial aspect. And he's our guide, Professor Avinash B. Ade. And this is the media coverage of our work in various dailies. And Vigyan Prasar, they also cover our work. And this is the Don't to Earth website and BioVice website. Then some TV channels also cover our work. This is TV9 Marathi channel, and this is the ABP channel, and this is the intro of mine, which was aired by the News Now in Jammu. What we have done, we have also in our book, we have suggested some measures to control the plastic waste, and where our work got impact. That in the sense that the plastic waste management was opposing ban on the plastic every year. There are various reports which are opposing ban on plastic, but we think that based on our work, we got huge media coverage. The plastic base was being enforced in 2019. Although the plastic implementation waste management bill was passed in 2011, then 2016 it was again modified. Then different types of plastic waste were banned from time to time, and different regulations were framed. However, the rules were not implemented or obeyed strictly. And in 2009, the government of India had launched an awareness program, Swachhta Hi Seva, from 11th September to 2nd October to ban the use of single-use plastic. Similarly, the University Grants Commission also issued the guidelines to ban plastic products in universities and institutions. So let us have an overview about the single-use plastic. What are single-use plastics? Single-use plastics are any kind of plastic which is meant for a single use, such as straw, these spoons, or these water bottles, and etc. And due to carry bags. And as per this regulation in 2019, the shopkeepers, vendors, wholesalers, retailers, hawkers, or Ariwala, they are not permitted to manufacture, store, import, sell, transport, or supply, or use plastic, thermocol, or styrofoam items by any means. So some items have the item which have been banned in 2019 are as follows, such as single-use plastic cutlery, thermocol, styrofoam cutlery, single-use plastic container less than 250 microns, drinking water sealed plastic glasses, and plastic mineral water pouches. And the plastic which is sold in the name of silver aluminum bags, pouches for packing food items, single-use razors, single-use pens, use of thermocol for decoration purposes. The plastic material used for the decoration purposes are also banned. Then the non-woven polypropylene bags, both with handle or without handle, are also banned. Then the item which were allowed for 3 months, some items were allowed for 3 months. That is the single-use plastic containers used for curd, kheer, and ice cream, and the plastic sachets with packaging capacity of 50 ml per 50 gram and less, plastic sticks for earbud, balloon, flag, etc., and the plastic refill pouches having quantity less than 500 milliliter and multi-layer packaging used for food packaging have been allowed for 3 months in 2019. And again, they have also imposed a fine and punishment of 5 years or more 1 lakh fine or both. And the officer in charge were also authorized to snatch the electricity supply and water from the defaulter unit. Now, this was the earlier ban. Now, in the current scenario, the government, after the recovery from this COVID epidemic, because the COVID epidemic reached the nation of various plastic ban, and the early bans were not imposed strictly because of the COVID scenario. So again, in the Gazette of published that in India the ban will be effective from 1st July single-use plastic. However, the ban will be effected in 3 stages. As per this new draft rule, which was published in August 2011, it says that the plastic will be banned in 3 stages. For the first stage, which will be effective from which is being effected from 30th September, it is already imposed. And the rule proposed that each sheet of non-woven plastic carry bags shall not be able to less than 60 gram per square meter or to 40 micron in thickness, and a carry bag made of virgin or recycled plastic shall not be less than 20 micron with effect from the same date. And the second stage, these 6 types of plastic from the 1st January 2022 will be banned for sale, use, manufacture, stock, import, and distribution. It includes earbuds, plastic sticks, plastic flakes, candy sticks, aspirin, and polystyrene, etc. And the third stage will be effective from 1st July 2022. The following items will be banned, such as plastic plates, plastic cups, plastic glasses, plastic cutlery such as fork, spoons, knives, straw, tray, wrapping packing films around sweet boxes, cards, cigarette packets, plastic PVC, banner less than 100 micron, and stirrers. And those type of plastic which will missed in these 3 stages, they will be covered in extended producer responsibility. That it is a duty of this producer to uh, to manage these type of plastics. And this type of ban is also applied to online retailers. So before implementing any ban, it is necessary that the people should be aware about the plastic problem. So there are various social awareness among the people needed. So in India, there are various federations or bodies which implement this awareness among the people, such as National Solid Waste Association of India, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, Urban Infrastructural Development Scheme for Small and Medium Towns, and Swachhta Hi Seva, which was launched in 2019. And so around the globe, there are various organizations which can propagate awareness among the people at mass level about, and they make them aware about the problems generated due to the use of plastic, and recommended them for the minimal use of plastic, and suggest them to use other items as an alternative to plastics. So before imposing ban, we should have alternative to use instead of plastic to implement the ban strictly. So there are various items which can be used as an alternative to plastic, such as glass, wood, leaves, cotton, hemp, leather, fiber, metals. Besides these, using the traditional material to replace the plastic, people have also attempted to manufacture biodegradable thermoplastic using very additives. So the various type of uh, biodegradable plastic is also available in the market. However, all the plastic which is called as biodegradable is not always biodegradable. So it is the report that the plastic which have claimed to be biodegradable, they have not proven to be degraded after the mark. So it is better to use traditional alternative materials instead of plastic to reduce plastic waste generation. So there are various strategies to minimize the plastic waste generation. So if you use reusable carry bags, the use of all type of synthetic gum should be avoided. During shopping, avoid purchasing items enclosed in plastic packings. Instead, prefer to the same item in the box form. Reuse glass container, carry your own container, use matchboxes instead of plastic lighters. Don't purchase frozen food and avoid consumption of plastic-based products used in the packaging material. And don't use plastic waste. Disposable plastic-based items used in serving foods, for example, plastic plate, plastic bowl, plastic cups. Avoid the use of plastic-based diapers. Instead, diaper made up of cloth should be preferred. And don't buy packed juices in plastic packets and bottles. Instead, eat fresh fruits based on the season and try to squeeze fruit juices at home. Don't use plastic-based lunch boxes and don't use plastic bags to keep the food items such as sandwich, etc. So, what are the future needs? In future, it is needed to discover the elite microbe, which is having 100% efficiency to decrease to degrade the plastic at both in vitro and in situ level. And we should avoid the maximum at maximum the plastic based products, although it is not it's very difficult but not impossible. To minimize the plastic waste, it is needed to discover an alternative uh, substitute material to use instead of plastic. Avoid using and throwing plastic waste in large parties by wedding ceremonies and other functions to minimize the generation of plastic waste and try to convert plastic into other useful non-toxic forms. This way, we can minimize the generation till that we can discover the efficient backrope to address this plastic pollution. Thank you very much.
I am very thankful to Dr. Shahnawaz for sharing his valuable knowledge with us. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you're
okay,
audible.
okay. I'm very happy to know that scientists are working on polyethylene degrading fungi and bacteria, and many of them have been isolated also, as told by Dr. Shahnawaz. And we are waiting for the time when these bacteria and fungi can be used on large scale to degrade toxic plastic from our environment. So thank you. Now over to Priya.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Sir, this was actually very enlightening session. We got to know so many new things and what new advances the science has made in the field of plastic degradation, because this is what the need of the hour is. Before we close the session, we have a few questions from our students. Can you, with your permission, can we ask those questions?
yes, ma'am. We can ask.
The first question is, sir, one of the student has asked, how can we control plastic pollution in oceans?
Uh, the main thing is to control plastic in the ocean is that we should minimize the generation of plastic waste in land, because in the ocean all the plastic will be generated in land. It goes to ocean through waste routes, water canals, rivers, and if we are able to minimize the generation of plastic waste in land, we will be able to minimize the entry of plastic in the ocean.
Okay. So we have another question from a student. She's asking, which is the best way to recycle plastics?
Actually, plastic, we can't say best way to recycle plastic. Only 10% plastic is recyclable. So we can say that which one is the best method to handle plastic waste. So the best method to handle plastic waste is bioremediation technology, through which we cannot, which is eco-friendly and environment friendly, and all type of plastic can be degraded. But only 10% can be recycled, and the recycling process is also expensive process. It needs labor, huge labor. We need to segregate plastic from, first we need to collect the plastic from the dumping sites, then we need to segregate, and in this all process we need a lot of human work, human force requirement, and which is very expensive process. So it is the most, the question should be which method is best. So I will say that bioremediation method is the best method to address this menace.
Yes. So the last question is, how can we reuse the plastic items so that they do not affect the environment?
Okay. Uh, we can reuse only those items which are meant for multiple use. There are various items which are meant for single use. So don't use all plastic items continuously. Some items are meant for single use only, such as the water bottles we are using. It is meant for single use. And if we use it repeatedly, there are various chemical compounds, additives which are being used to increase the tensile strength of the plastic. They leach out from the plastic and it adds to water. And when we drink the water, the plastic, the toxic material goes inside our body and cause problem. So reuse only those plastic which is meant for multiple use. As I have already shown different type of 7 categories of plastic. In 7 categories, some plastics are reusable, others are not. Some are only meant for single use. So reuse only those plastic which is meant for multiple use.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This was all from our students. Thank you so much for this informative lecture. I extend my heartiest thanks to Shalu ma'am also. And heartiest thanks to all the participants. And I hope they have been benefited by this extremely beneficial lecture. We hope that we will be having such more interactions in future also, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shalu ma'am.